Hello everyone, this is Kaushikeshwar Reddy Palla-Venkata. Today I am going to explain about the knowledge management, which is assignment number 3. And here is my agenda. It is divided into two parts. Part 1, learning styles, system development methodologies, concept mapping. And part 2, intersensor brain stimulation, benefits, risks and references. Coming to the basic example of the knowledge management. Knowledge management systems refer to any kind of IT system that stores and retrieves knowledge, improves collaboration, locates knowledge sources, and it also refers to a multidisciplinary approach to achieve organizational objectives by making the best use of knowledge. Coming to the learning styles, which is one of the main part of concept mapping. So it is the individual's unique approach to learning based on strengths, weaknesses and preferences. So total there are 7 learning styles. First one is the visual, oral, verbal, physical, logical, social and solitary. Coming to the visual, we prefer using pictures, images and spatial understanding. And in the oral, we use sound and music. And in the verbal, we use words both in speech and writing. And in the physical, we use the body, hands and sense of touch. Coming to the logical, we prefer using logic, reasoning and systems. And in the social, which we use is learning groups or with other people. And the last one is the solitary, which we prefer to work alone and use self-study. And the next one in the concept mapping is the system development methodology, which is also called as software development methodology. A system development methodology refers to the framework that is used to structure, plan and control the process of developing and information systems. System methodologies are waterfall, prototype, iterative and incremental development, V-shaped model, extreme programming and spiral method. Out of all these 6, I am going to explain today about the waterfall, prototype and iterative because these 3 are the main. So in the system development methodology, it starts with the requirement analysis, design, and then it goes into the implementation and then into the testing, and the last one is the evaluation. So this is the process. The same process goes in the waterfall, prototype and iterative. So here is the concept mapping. So concept mapping means graphical tools for organizing and representing knowledge, which includes concepts usually enclosed in circles or boxes of some type, and relationships between concepts indicated by a connecting line linking two concepts. So for this concept mapping, I'm using the tool which is Mindomo. So here comes the concept. So this is my concept mapping. So this is the relation. As I told, the first one is the learning styles and the second one is the system development methodologies. And coming to the learning styles, in the first I have explained regarding the learning styles. So there are the 7 learning styles, which is the visual, physical, oral, verbal, logical, social and solitary. So for each and every one, so the visual is nothing but images, pictures and maps, and coming to the physical, it is the physical objects, drawings, and in the oral it is sound, music, rhythms, and in the verbal, writing and words and so on. So next, coming to the system development methodologies, as I told, it has the waterfall, prototype and iterative model. So in the waterfall, the requirement, design, execution, testing and release are the main terms, and in the prototype, the requirement, develop and use and review, and in the iterative, it is the requirement, analysis and implementation. As we see in everything, the requirement, the design and the execution, everything is the same one. So, and here is the relations between each and everyone, like for the waterfall and for the learning styles. So if we take the design one, for the design we have mapped the design. There is a relationship between the design and the physical objects and drawing, and There is also the relationship between the logical reasoning and the design. And there is another relationship between the design is the learn in groups, work with others. So for designing anything, we should be in the groups. The single person can't do everything. So if we are in the groups for anything, for the any project or anything, then it will be a beneficial. And before that, I should explain regarding the requirement. For the requirement, we need the images, pictures and maps for anything, for any project or anything. The basic one is the images, pictures and maps. And also for the requirement, we also need the physical objects drawings. So next, so talking about the prototype. So prototype has that developing nothing but the design and use and review. So for the develop, we use the images, pictures and maps. So this is the main thing. If we want to develop anything, we use the images, pictures and maps. For if you take any project or anything, we use the images, pictures and maps. And coming to the use and review, we use the images, pictures, maps and also the self-study, learn alone. Because if we take anything, we should learn alone, and if we want to review or anything, we should do alone for the prototype. And next is the iterative model. So for the waterfall, I have used the relationship between everything with the black color arrows, and for the prototype I used everything with the red color, and when coming to the iterative, I used everything with the blue color. So it will be, everything will be clear. So coming to the iterative model, so for the requirement, we need the images, pictures and maps. As for everything, for the waterfall or for the prototype, we need the same thing, images, pictures or maps. And coming to the analysis, we need the physical objects, drawings for the analysis. And we also need the self-study, learn alone. So in the iterative model. So this is the concept mapping. And now I am going to the presentation. So coming to the part 2, here is the intersensory brain stimulation. It is a brain stimulation system in which the human brain is used by the help of sensors. There are 2 or more intersensory systems which will sense our human brain stimulation. We have different sensory systems. Some of them are vision, vestibular, somatic sensation, olfaction and more. So the brain stimulation manipulation. So brain stimulation involves implanting electrodes within certain areas of our human brain. There will be a treatment of movement and affective disorder in human brain. This is also used to treat like number of neurological conditions such as chronic pain, obsessive compulsion disorder or essential tremor. And coming to the future learning, brain-computer interface, it is also called as mind-machine interface, where it is a direct communication pathway between an enhanced or wired brain and an external device. These are often directed in research, mapping, repairing human cognitive or sensory motor functions. And here is the small video regarding the brain control interface.
Imagine moving a mechanical arm by just thinking about it, or playing a video game using only your mind. Yes! Although it may seem like science fiction, scientists and engineers have been developing this technology for decades. It's called Brain-Computer Interface, or BCI.
The field of brain-computer interfaces relies on the ability of the brain to be able to generate certain types of responses that can then be harnessed by computers, to be able to be interpreted by computers.
Dr. Rajesh Rao is a neuroengineer and director of the Center for Sensory Motor Neural Engineering at the University of Washington and is funded by the National Science Foundation. He is developing safe, non-invasive devices that can connect to the brain to accomplish things like controlling a prosthetic arm or sending commands to a computer.
looking at the development of this whole field of brain-computer interfaces is to think of it in terms of studying how the brain controls the body.
Whether it's telling the legs to jump in the air or activating glands to produce sweat, the body's actions and functions are controlled by neurons. They communicate information to and from the brain and the rest of the nervous system using chemical and electrical signals.
And so they're sending these electrical pulses to each other and eventually to the muscles that are then controlling my body.
Much like how the brain controls muscles, researchers can use new technologies to tap into these signals to control machines.
The understanding of how the brain controls movement led to the development of devices and algorithms that can be implemented on a computer that recognize these patterns in the activity of brain cells and then correspondingly move an artificial device.
To demonstrate how this technology works, Rao and his team of students use a BCI that allows them to study nonverbal communication. First, the student is fitted with an electroencephalogram, or EEG cap, which is a series of electrodes placed on the scalp to record brain signals.
We need to get Grimes reference now. It's 48.
When a question appears on the monitor, the student answers yes or no by looking at one of the flashing lights, which are blinking at different frequencies. When the subject's eyes focus on one of the response lights, the frequency of that specific light is picked up by the visual cortex in the brain and measured by the EEG cap. 12 hertz represents a yes frequency, while a no is at a frequency of 13 hertz.
Now you can see a peak here right around 12 hertz because no is for 12 hertz.
The computer interprets this signal and moves the cursor in the direction of the response. Using an EEG cap isn't the only way to measure brain activity. Some BCIs use a method called electrocorticography. It also records brain activity, but unlike the EEG cap, it is surgically placed directly on the surface of the brain, providing a clearer signal and more precise information.
For example, they can imagine moving their hand, and we use a computer to extract the patterns that correspond to imagined movement of the hand, compared to, for example, not imagining and just resting.
From there, the computer can distinguish the two types of brain activity: imagining movement and not imagining movement, then use that information to enable hand control by mental activity.
Given the right kinds of information and the right kinds of devices that are useful for the animal or for the human, the brain can start to adapt.
With practice, the brain can learn to do something it's never done before, like control a prosthetic it's not familiar with. But the key is to understand how these neural networks communicate between the brain and the body.
So if you're able to understand the brain better, then you're also able to build better brain-computer interfaces, because then they can use those signals that are responsible for different kinds of movements.
As Rao continues to collaborate with engineers, neuroscientists, and neurosurgeons to develop more BCI devices, he is working toward a future where the brain and technology come together seamlessly.
And here are some of the benefits in the part 2. So coming to the performance, according to the medical applications, the stroke patient results on pegboard test results showed a significant increase in the number of correctly placed pegs. Brain stimulations has changed 50% improvement in the stroke patients as per some of the medical tests. Coming to the accessibility, for humans, this technology is mostly used and helpful. And physical disability people are more helpful with this, and also they are easily recovering. And here is the benefit for the capacity. All the current technologies are really so helpful and used by patients in different situations. Some of the future emerging technologies like BCI, which is brain computer interfaces, and wireless BCI makes possible for all the physically challenged people to do their all works. And here is the risks. Physical risks are not associated with this technology. Only risks are some of the medical problems like speech problems, etc. Some of the minor side effects like headache, irritation, and itching under the electrode may occur. And here is the final references where I have searched for all the information. First one will be the software development and the overview. Thank you so much.